What's going on, guys? JD at JD's Custom Buggies. I wasn't really even gonna put this on the channel, but I figure I'd just do, I'm updating the 91X. I've just been getting my ass kicked too bad, so I had to come up with some things to kind of update it. One issue, huge issue, is suspension. The last race I actually sheared a ball joint. Didn't allow me to finish the moto. I was in the lead, kind of lost me the day. It was my fault. I sent it a little too hard, harder than I had to. We were at Spider MX. You've heard me say, or I'm sure you've seen on Facebook, how hard Spider MX is on the buggies. I got a little anxious, and I was already in the lead. I should probably just settled in and continue just to push it harder than it probably needed to be pushed. I'm not going to do a Heim joint swap on this because I'm just trying to get through the year. Another buggy is being, I have another buggy, or at least the ideas of a buggy I want to build. That's in the works, so I want to put my time, money, effort into that instead of sinking any more time into this. And right now, my time's almost more valuable than the money I would spend on doing something like this. If I knew someone that could pay to do it, that would be awesome, because I just have too much going on. I've got two buggies here, one that's in the middle of being built, that's supposed to be for the next race in 2.5 weeks at Mesa, and then I have another one that the guy's like, when you get it done, but I'd love to come racing with you, so that'll be the next one in here. And then hopefully, if nothing else is on a slate, I just want to take my time and build something that I've never seen before, and that hopefully, you know, maybe you guys have never seen before. But I have a bucket list of ideas up here that I need to get out. So so suspension was one issue. The other issue is I just realized I bent an axle. Try to address that yesterday, A, by changing the axle, and B, by coming up with an idea that might make the axle last more than 3 races, because that's about what I'm getting at. If I'm not breaking them, I'm bending them. So just give you a quick spin with quick video, take a look real quick, and then I'm gonna get to work on something else. So here we go. So first thing I did was bought some Fox floats. I'm a WPS dealer, so I started looking through the Fox portion, the suspension portion, and bought 2 pairs of shocks. I'm almost embarrassed to say what I spent on them for this particular buggy. Not that the shocks aren't worth the money, and not that they aren't great shocks, but probably the combined cost of the shocks is more than the actual rest of the buggy might be worth. I don't know. But I got Fox Float 3s in front. They're just the typical Fox floats. They're not the Evolve with the, Evolve with the reservoir. I was looking for a 14-inch shock. Fortunately for me, I was able to get measurements on them before I ordered them. My last shocks were 14 plus inches, maybe. I do believe, I mean, they're really close, but I do believe that the front end is lower now. I think I've lost about a ½ inch. Might be a little bit because of the droop. It might be because of the length of the shock that I had in there. Not quite sure, but the last measurement I took after I got all 4 shocks on, it felt jacked up to me, and yeah, sure enough, the rear end, it's like the front end lost a ½ inch, and the rear end was up a ½ inch. So I want to say I had 13 inches of ground clearance under the belly originally. I think I had like 12.5 or 12.25, and the back end was like still 13 or maybe 13 plus. So it just felt jacked up when I got in it. So anyway, and I'll show you kind of how I fixed that. So in the rear, I got the Fox Float 3 Evolves. Now, I think the fronts are up for like a Honda TRX 300 to 250 Sport model. These rears here are, I believe they were listed for a YFZ 450, which if all else fails, I can put them on my YFZ 450. So what I had to do is, these shocks were a lot taller than the shocks I originally had on them. So I built these brackets that basically slid in here, 1 bolt, and then I welded a nut on the back side of that, drilled a hole, and there's a ½ inch hole that pinches this up against the frame. So once that's all done, I really don't, it's solid as a rock. So I had to build these extenders now. Originally I had this, you could see, barely see, there's a hole drilled there. That was the original mount hole. I ended up drilling another one below it after the fact, and I haven't put the wheels on and tried it out, but that was to kind of get this thing to level out. So I raised them out a little bit, but that gives me a choice of holes to try out. I haven't really messed with the air pressures. I've read the directions, watched some videos and whatnot. Not super familiar with these things, but set some air pressures to it to where they felt a little better, at least for me pushing up and down on it, but I haven't really got a chance to ride it. Next thing is it was a brand new axle when I put it on there. Basically it came from a Hammerhead twister. I think for a while there I had been hoarding this one in case I needed it, and I know there's a lot of people in need for these kind of axles, and I wasn't willing to give it up, but for some reason nobody's bringing these, not even Hammerhead Performance is bringing these back in the country or whatever. I don't know what the deal is. Trying to work on, you know, I'm constantly looking. So anyway, I had one more used one that was straight, put that on, and what I did was I had some tubing that's, I believe it's 1 3/4 outer diameter or 1 1/4 inner. It's basically, it's a 1/4 inch wall on that thing. It was just big enough to slide over. It really doesn't grip it tight. So I basically carved out the inside here to fit over the hub, welded it to the hub, and then tapped and welded these nuts in there so I could put these bolts in, and basically to kind of hug, so I could bolt it up against the axle. And what I'm trying to do is relieve the stress from the end of the axle and kind of transfer it to all this getting, you know, taking up a lot more of the stress than just this. Because I believe that the leverage from here is what's bending the axle, because the axles always tend to bend from the bearing out. Hopefully I'm explaining that correctly enough that you guys get it. I don't quite know how it's going to work. I've done this on Yerf Dogs before, and oddly enough, like one of Abel Espinosa's race machines, the oh good God, I can't think of the number. The green Yerf Dog, I want to say 53. Yeah, the number 53 Yerf Dog. I had done something like this to the stock Yerf axle, where I had sleeved the hub, had a good tight fit, and oddly enough, she broke the axle in the center, so that kind of told me that there might be something to this, because it didn't break in the typical Yerf Dog spot, and we all know how bad Yerf Dog axles are. So, little experiment to try. I think I'm going to cap it off with some fresh rubber and wheels, different offset wheel I picked up, and we'll go from there. But hopefully this wasn't too boring, and I'll let you guys know how it works out. All right, if you like what you see, subscribe, and if you need parts, go to gotbuggies.com, and Lucy and I are gonna bail. Have a good one, guys.